How do I ask my girlfriend her weight? I seriously couldn't care less how much she weighs, but we're planning on skydiving and there's a limit. How should I approach this without hurting her feelings? Edited for grammar. Thank you for the replies. Seriously, how did Op manage to get a girlfriend when he's so bad at his social skill that he doesn't even know how to ask her a simple question? Like, it takes a lot of effort to get someone to like you and agree to be your girlfriend, so surely he must be able to communicate somewhat effectively. Definitely just ask her and tell her why. When you get to the skydiving place, if there is any question that someone's weight might be too much, they have a scale and they will check. The gear has weight limits and most reputable skydiving places will not push it because it is a safety issue for the instructor and the tandem student. This has to do with wing loading of the parachute. There is a ratio of exit weight to square footage for the parachute that cannot be pushed too much past the limit, because it can drastically increase the speed at which you approach the ground once you're under canopy. You don't want a ground-hungry canopy. Nobody wants to land hard and hurt themselves. So many people here mentioned lying about weight. I just wanted to be sure you knew that that isn't a thing that can happen. If there is any question as to the safety of the jump, then it will not happen. Source: was a skydiver for 6 years and helped 3 friends get their tandem ratings by riding as their passenger. Now go out there and have an absolute blast. No, you're going about it all wrong. She'll see scales and get suspicious. Take her to a heated swimming pool or spa. Take a measurement of the water line with a marker. Once she's inside, mark the water line. Come back later and measure it. Then calculate the total rise in water, based on volumetric density and temperature. Once you have that, you know how much water she's displaced and hence her weight. If you really want to get accurate, ask her to do under, then you get the weight of her head as well. If that doesn't work, then ask her. I went on vacation with my son a few years ago with his family while significantly overweight, not aware that his family had set up multiple activities where there was a weight limit: horseback riding, bungee jumping and a speedway. I had to keep making excuses as to why I couldn't go, as it was too embarrassing to explain that I was too big to participate. I'm sure she'll appreciate it to the point asking. Just be kind. No need to be weird about it, and you will save her the possible embarrassment later. Also, if anyone's curious, yes, it was a huge eye-opener for me and I started taking my health seriously. This was over 2 years ago and I've lost over 130 pounds since then. This gave me flashbacks to when my Girl Scout troop went horseback riding, all of one single time, and they had to bring out the extra-large special horse for me and it was a whole thing. I was, and still am I suppose, in the 99th percentile for height, so weighing twice as much as the other girls wasn't ridiculous. Realistically, as an adult it wouldn't be as big a deal, but that's still tough for a 10-year-old girl. So much stuff I've had to sit out of frown, so I've been there. Glad you're able to make that change for yourself. Because you sound open about it, I'm gonna take an opportunity to ask something I have always wondered when someone who was significantly overweight lost a lot. Do all your tendons and joints feel like they've been relieved of intense pressure? I've always been slim, but I've dipped in and out of being athletic, so when my joints are in top condition I feel so healthy and good. I can only imagine what having that much weight constantly bearing down on certain joints would do over time. Like, it's difficult enough keeping healthy joints when you're light. It was a huge eye-opener for me and I started taking my health seriously. This was over 2 years ago and I've lost over 130 pounds since then. I had the same happen when I wasn't allowed on a pedal boat thing at a zoo with my niece. It was just a boat on a pond, but apparently they could get unstable if you were too heavy. I've lost 30 kilograms, 65 pounds, since then. Still more to go, but I can now go on these kinds of things again. I worked on a cruise ship that had a ride with the weight limit, and had to stand at the line and weigh every single person that went into it. We had a sign posted that showed the upper limit, with a note that there would be 0 exceptions if a guest exceeded that limit. You would be surprised how many people who are considerably over the limit still wanted to test their luck. You'd also be surprised how awkward it is to tell someone who obviously knows they're heavy, that they're too heavy to ride the ride, especially when they're standing in front of a line of people who all know exactly what's going on, and are waiting their turn to be weighed as well. A funny little aside to that, I had one guy who grabbed his belly rolls and lifted them up to try to make them lighter so the numbers on the scale would go down. I couldn't tell if he was serious, or just having a laugh. Either way, I still found it amusing. A few years ago I booked a hot air balloon ride for my GF and I. We're both pretty skinny and our combined weight is maybe equal to a single moderately obese man. The other couple in the balloon with us were also on the small side, and the last pair were two little old ladies. Combined for the six of us we were probably less than 750–800 pounds. I don't know if our balloon guy didn't believe the weight number or what, but our flight went on for about an hour longer than it should, and we kept missing his preferred touchdown spots because the balloon wasn't dropping as fast as he thought it would. At the end it was dark and we were headed for a tree line plus barbed wire fence combo that we narrowly avoided because the balloon guy made a clutch landing and it was pretty scary, and for a while I wasn't sure we'd get out safely. All that is to say, give your accurate weight information because the people behind the process probably have to do calculations based on that information to make things safe. For a sub about no stupid questions, yeah, all are sure being assholes. You say, hey babe, the company needs to know our weights for the equipment, what's yours? And don't treat it like anything special. If she's embarrassed, you tell her that you find her so attractive it drives you crazy. That would work. Source: I'm a 6 feet 3 inches gigantosaur of a man and my wife is 5 feet 4 inches and 1/3 my weight, and she has been able to support me as I've gotten healthier, and I believe she truly finds me attractive from her track record of affirming that. Edit: I started out over 4 bills and have lost about 150 so far, but with plenty to go. My secret: good looks fade, but good cooking lasts a lifetime. Trying to make mine longer. Learn how to cook, boys. This reminds me of a time I went ziplining. They made everyone step on the scale to make sure they didn't exceed the weight limit for the lines, harnesses. There was a huge line of people and each person had to step on before you could go in. One younger woman ahead of us stepped on, and they rudely said, "Sorry ma'am, you are too heavy." Everyone was watching. She immediately turned around and walked over to her picnic table with her date and started sobbing. That was 3 years ago and I still have second-hand embarrassment for her. Moral of the story: if you think you won't make the weight restriction, don't wait until you are in a line full of strangers to find out. You should not put yourself in between those that need the info and your girlfriend. You have them collect the info. Tell them they should contact your sig other and go over all the info they require for her to skydive, and you do not want to know anything that comes from their private conversation with her. This is the most respectful and considerate way to handle a subject that another person may find you asking as being intrusive. If you say I don't want to hurt your feelings by asking this, you're going to hurt her feelings, so please avoid that. Likewise, is she the type to get self-conscious if you start complimenting her and how beautiful you find her? Because if she's like me, nothing irritates me more than my husband telling me how beautiful I am when I've spent the day doing dirty work and I'm covered in grime. I get it. But if I feel disgusting, telling me I'm beautiful doesn't help my mood. Tell me I'm beautiful when I've put the effort in. As a woman, since he said they're both planning it, I'd actually prefer the honesty. But with kindness, the company has a weight limit for safety reasons, so we need to weigh ourselves to be sure we can do this. If not, I'd be just as happy to do something else. But I know we've been planning this and both looking forward to it a lot. What do you think? Now if Op is trying to surprise her, then yes, definitely agree with you 100%. I mean, asking her with an explanation is a good idea, but if it's a limit per person you may be able to estimate it a little based on her height and measurements. Clothing size cues: if she's only 200 pounds but limit PP is 350, she's definitely gonna take it personally unless she's comfortable with her weight, and estimation works unless the place wants it put into the system right away specifically. Use the communication tool of position, permission. State why you are going to do the thing. and then ask permission. So that I can complete the form for skydiving, I need to fill in your weight. Is that okay? What is your weight, please? Giving the why first, positioning, and then asking if that's okay. Permission takes away the W I do the need add to K and noun th at, and builds a partnership with the person. Now you are both working towards the same goal instead of you pumping them for information. It works for so many things and helps with communication, especially with a stranger, like on the job or something. Of course you can overuse this, but play around with it and I bet you have positive results. Okay, if she has always been fat, then you are okay to just ask. If she has always been skinny, you are okay to ask. If she gained or lost a ton of weight in a good amount of time, then you don't need to tread carefully. Just tell her that there is a weight limit on it and you need to make sure she isn't over it. She'll fix it herself or she won't go. If she gained or lost a ton of weight in a super fast amount of time, then I'd be super careful and appeal to her emotionally about her weight because there could be something wrong that you haven't noticed and could upset her. Sad that you have to ask us this. I match the attitude of my girlfriend so that we joke about our weights all the time. I see a spin-off How I Asked Your Mother Her Weight. Each episode is just him telling the kids all the ways Redditors respond to this question. But as an overweight woman, my ex took me and his daughter indoor skydiving, didn't do his due diligence like you have. I was extremely embarrassed to ask for a refund for my ticket because I was too heavy. Just tell her, hey, I'm looking at our expeditions and this one says they need everyone's weight to even the aircraft load. She'll appreciate it. How about giving her the name of the skydiving place and tell her they have a couple of more questions for her? That way you don't have to ask her. Or, you could just man up or bite the bullet and ask her yourself. She won't end your life if you ask her. Or break the date and not go skydiving. Just do it. Have a great time plummeting to Earth. Wish I could go skydiving. And good luck with the girlfriend. They will probably weigh you themselves when you get there. Since so many people either don't know or don't want to say, they're unlikely to just rely on your word for such an important safety thing. However, you still need to tell them as accurately as you are able so they can plan ahead. Or worse, if either of you is actually above their upper limit, it would suck to find out at the last minute you can't go. And possibly embarrassing too. Ask her to marry you. Get married. Weigh yourself. As is tradition, carry her across the threshold when you get in from the wedding festivities, having set up a hidden electronic scale with weight tracking in the door's threshold. Review the findings of the hidden scale and subtract your previous measurement of your own weight. Now you can either continue with the marriage or file for an annulment since you haven't consummated the marriage yet or something, but I don't know if that's a thing because I'm not a lawyer or anything. So you may want to consult with an expert on this part. It may depend on your jurisdiction or something according to my research of drunken accidental marriages in sitcoms of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. What could be simpler? Fill a bathtub with water, record the level, place girlfriend in bathtub and ask her to hold her breath underwater. Record level. Calculate how much water did your girlfriend displace. Know your girlfriend's volume. You need to figure out her density. If she is fat, she is less dense. Assume about a 98% water. If she is average, assume same density of water. 1 kilogram to 1 liter. If she is super lean and mean, assume 20% more density. Or you could ask her. This doesn't not work in areas with extremely hard water or in the ocean. I'd only been dating my boyfriend for 4 months when I needed an emergency surgery in February 2020. I forbade my parents from coming to the hospital as we had a very bad flu epidemic already, but my boyfriend insisted on coming, straight into pre-op with me on a gurney and him carrying my shoes and purse. I'm in my 40s and a bit overweight, but when the anesthesiologist asked for my weight right in front of my boyfriend, I didn't even think of lying. Some things really do transcend vanity, and I'd rank skydiving right next to anesthesia. Just ask. If she's intelligent, she's going to know it's important. If she's overly vain, well, it's her potential funeral. Everyone covered the Just Ask portion, but has she expressed that she wants to lose weight? If so, think about how to be supportive. Shared goals really help. Skydiving could be a great goal for her, or maybe she would be able to come up with another. Express to her your own fitness goals. Maybe you want to lose weight too, or maybe you want to run a 5K or something. But then come up with a health plan together. Get an app like MyFitnessPal and start counting calories. Take the lead on making dinner at home instead of going out to eat. If you have a fitness goal that is beyond losing weight, you will need to add in an exercise routine. You can do that together. Work on being encouraging but not belittling. You don't have to play personal trainer by telling them to keep pushing or anything like that. A simple high five and great job at the end of a run is a great way to equalize each person's performance and make each other feel supported. Over the next few weeks, sneakily weigh all of her body parts separately without her suspecting. For example, put a scale under her pillow while she sleeps to weigh her head. Carefully record the values in a notebook using invisible ink for security, then add them all up with an abacus. Simple. Go to the store and buy a very large squash. Over the next 2 weeks, try to bring up the potential size, weight of the squash as organically as you can in normal conversation. A few examples, feel free to use them. Can you believe all those injuries at Wimbledon? I can see why they play squash indoors. Speaking of squash, how much do you think that squash weighs? Your sister is pregnant again. That's great news. Hopefully this one will live more than 24 hours. Her first one was a pretty big vegetable, right? Probably a lot smaller than the squash. I agree. Becky is a total bitch. She doesn't understand what it's like to be responsible for an entire department and is being super unfair. She is almost as big of a bitch as this squash is. Oh fuck baby, that feels amazing. I'm gonna come. Oh shit, I'm gonna fill your mouth with my bitter seed. Speaking of bitter seed, have you ever eaten overcooked squash? I hear the big ones are really hard to cook properly. You've got to be kidding me, honey. Your mother killed herself with a letter opener on your 6th birthday. I don't know what to say. That's so heavy. Probably twice as heavy as that squash. You won't believe what I saw at the office today. This Canadian goose set up a nest by the side entrance and was attacking anyone who tried to go out for a smoke break. That angry goose must have been 3 times bigger than this squash. Hey baby, I was looking for some change in your purse when I found a Magnum condom. If I wasn't so trusting, I might think you were cheating on me with that squash. I bet it's at least twice as big as the average squash. Eventually she will also become curious about the size of the squash, and this is important. Come up with the idea on her own to find out how much the squash weighs. When she does so, suggest she could get on the scale without the squash, then get on the scale with the squash and find out how much the squash weighs. Keep in mind that you could be saving her life. 655,000 people in the US and 17.9 million people worldwide die from heart disease per year. Being overweight drastically increases those chances. I would simply tell her that she needs to lose weight for her own safety. Life comes with responsibilities and consequences that any adult should follow. My dad had to see a heart doctor recently, and the doctor was shocked that he even went to the gym a few times a week. He didn't even up having anything serious, which was attributed to his exercise. Most people around his age, mostly middle age, neglect their health completely. With massive bare guts were having issues with high blood pressure, heart disease, and cancer. Many of them get married, have kids, and then just retire their body to a lifetime of drinking and weight gain. Well, is your girlfriend super large? If she's average size, probably not an issue, as the max weight has got to be at least 180 or so, or you'd have few grown men being allowed on. At any rate, don't guess her weight. Either you underestimate and she may not correct you, or worse, you overestimate and she gets angry. Just ask. Definitely put in 40 liters of water in the bathtub and then take a dead female similar in body size and weight. Throw her into the tub and mark the line. Then remove dead body and tell GF to take a bath. If you want to change the water, because you love her so much, then you need a second line. If her line is above the line, add X amount of weight based on the average density of a female muscle mass based on volume. This is the easiest method.